Hello, I'm AbyaX Toycat, and good news everybody, a brand new update is now out for all Minecraft Bedrock platforms, that's phones, consoles, and the PC, and inside it you'll find 10 brand new items in the creative inventory. You'll also notice that every mob is slightly transparent, as well as a bunch of different fixes for the Copper Age drop. This is Minecraft 1.21.120, and let's go through everything you find inside of it, because this update is a real hero, and let's explain why. First things first, there is a brand new dithering option, and so by default, blocks like glass and sugarcane are going to be slightly transparent when you get towards them. This means that if you're standing inside of sugarcane, you should be able to see past it. Great for, say, insane sugarcane farms, but also the same is true for glass, and interestingly, also for all mobs. This applies to entities that like the armor stand that you might want to see through, but also mobs that you would never expect to have to, like the polar bear. If these mobs get close to you, they won't just cover your screen and ruin your vision, but now you should be able to see slightly through them. Do you hate this as a concept? Because about 10% of people do. Well, good news, the accessibility function will allow you to turn these off. If you're curious, this is accessed by going to the settings menu right here, and then scrolling to accessibility, where you'll find these brand new options, dithering for blocks and dithering for mobs. You can choose to turn this off. Personally, I'll be keeping it on, but you have your own choice because you have free will, man, I like to believe. Speaking of things you have free will about, this is also an update that has lots of changes for the Copper Age drop, and these are broadly quite good, especially for my good friends who have no free will, because the Copper Golem used to be dragged around by his head, his lightning rod, and that looked pretty painful. It looked a little abusive, and I'd like to believe that if I'm being abusive, I shouldn't have to feel bad about it, which is why I'm going to drag my Copper Golem around by the body, like a, it looks like I'm dragging a child around, which is totally okay. Anyway, we also will now have Copper Golems retaining their custom names before turning into a statue, and then when being deoxidized, which means when we deoxidize this fella, he goes right back to being the, the word that he definitely loves to be called. I mean, they say it to each other, so I'm allowed to say it to them, right? Anyway, speaking of things I'm allowed to say, the recipe for the copper trapdoors now only give you one. This is a bug fix from the Copper Age drop. So previously the recipe was 6 copper. You had to place it in this form, like a double slab, and then it went down to 4, and so that should have been an upgrade, but they accidentally made the recipe still craft 2, so until earlier to date, I made a community post about this, you were actually able to get this for far cheaper, but good news, they have fixed this. Actually, this is good news for no one, except knowing that things work as intended. Speaking of working as intended, are you old enough to remember the Wither Skeleton when he looked like this? Because now, this is what he looks like. If you're curious, the actual reality here is that Wither Skeletons can now pick up copper swords. It's kind of fun in my opinion that they can do this. I think it makes for a nice splash of colour, and the interesting thing about it is that a copper sword does the same damage as a stone sword, and mobs don't have durability. They probably should, right? Wouldn't it be cool if a mob ran out of durability on their sword and couldn't hit you anymore? But that doesn't happen, and so the copper sword is something you can give to your Wither Skeletons if you want them to look just a little flashier. Speaking of being flashier, copper chests and golem sounds now fade from a distance. This has been the ire of my base. I've been willing to let the, the little C words die and just entirely oxidize just to prevent the noises that happen every time I go in my chest room. That should be much better now. Also, the flame part of the salt and copper lanterns should now be properly animated. This is something that you have to really look to see, but the animation should work now. Also, shelves produce vibrations when interacted with. So I'm standing perfectly still, not moving around, but when I interact with this shelf, I'm actually going to make it so that it starts to activate, therefore meaning I can take these items and put them in. Kind of confusing actually in its own way, but you can use this for all sorts of redstone contraptions, and I know people love that. Speaking of things people love, vibrant visuals! It's just had a huge update. There are now vibrant visuals supported texture packs. This is the thing Minecraft are most talking about, but there's also been lots of other tiny adjustments, such as the colour of the sky in the end has moved from being this super bright purple to more like the old one. This is a objective improvement. I also think that the deserts and savanna and mesa biomes have had a massive upgrade. They now no longer have this super yellow Breaking Bad look to them. It's taken close to it's taken more than 3 months, but Vibrant Visuals is really turning a corner and becoming a better game mode. Also, we're in Vibrant Visuals right now, and so you'll notice that the setting is now gamma correction, which is very, very cool. It will reduce distortion when having nausea, kind of nice. Also, lighting is no longer too bright when underwater in a cave. Colors are now darker when the player is in a dark forest. If you want to see how bad that is, watch my 0% brightness playthrough. But yeah, they've also made other changes outside of Vibrant Visuals, but just know Vibrant Visuals is better by default in lots of bad scenarios, but also it can be used with texture packs, which is very, very fun. Speaking of things that are fun, the following items will now now glowing item frames, shield, pots, and copper statues. Previously they weren't glowing, now they are. Isn't that nice? Especially the map. I think that's extra fun. Look at that. Wow. Do you see the map? It's suddenly changed to say, subscribe to IBX Toycat. What a wonderful thing that it's doing. You should probably listen to the weird green map. Speaking of things that I would listen to, the new camera is, the camera has had an update, not just with the dithering, but also when climbing any blocks. This can be any type of vine. Ladders are the realistic example of it. But this is something that Minecraft were really trying to work out. Accessibility is hard on mobile devices in particular, and so now you'll notice that. Did you see it? There's a slight zoom out, like when you're sprinting, when you're climbing a ladder. So instead of climbing a ladder looking like you're just on it, it looks like that. There is a bit of weirdness with this, so they really toned it down. It looks like you've slowed down a little bit there. But as you can see, it means that climbing a ladder gives you a better view, which is especially important on smaller field of view devices, namely mobile. Also, pausing the game, so here is me with an enchanted sword. Notice how the sword enchantment kind of glimmers through it. If you can't notice that, you can definitely notice it on this thing here. But if you pause the game, the enchantment glimmer will go away. By the way, if you haven't already noticed, Minecraft's pause menu changed in the last update. Very fun thing. Speaking of things that are fun, shields will no longer get damaged when mining blocks of them. This is insane that this used to happen, but it was just a default behavior for lots of tools. If you damage a moss block, even though it's not the right tool, you will still damage it, but a shield isn't the right tool for any block, and so you can mine anything you like without worrying about it now, which is great. Speaking of great, you will now lose the absorption effect when hearts are lost. Absorption is this fun effect right here that lasts for 2 minutes and gives me these little golden hearts, but if I get damaged, like hypothetically I could just did there, not even hypothetically, I actually just did. But when you get damaged, you'll now lose that absorption effect, so you don't have to watch it like making you glow. Very, very useful change, and just a nice accessibility one. Finally, we have the big category that represents the end of this update, parity changes. So there's been some bug fixes for the Copper Age, there's been some new accessibility, there's been some general bug fixes, but now we've got parity changes, and I know that we're all getting a little tense at this moment, like, oh no, what have Mojang decided to change now? But these are broadly decent, I would say. So, first of all, drowns holding a weapon will no longer drop it to pick up a Nautilus shell. Okay, that's decent, I guess. Thank you very much, Mr. Partially Invisible Drowned. Next up, we've got all variants of Suspicious Stew now available in the creative menu. This was one of the weirdest Java Bedrock differences, that you could get Suspicious Stew in their creative inventory, but not in the Bedrock one. Now you can. If you're in creative, you'll notice there's a lot more food. There is a creative clutter problem, I think, for Minecraft in general, but especially on Bedrock. Obviously, this makes that a bit worse, but I think in general, having all the Suspicious Stew is pretty good. Although actually, you know, I haven't even thought about it till just now. If we go into creative, as you know we want to right now, if we go into creative and we type in stew, is there a way of telling which stew is which? Oh, it lets you know now. So that is a very handy little bonus that I didn't even think about until just now. And so this is good parity. I love good parity. It's actually good. Speaking of things that are actually good, items in inventories can now be quick moved between the hotbar and the inventory using number keys. This is only relevant for PC players, but look at this. I have, I want to put this Suspicious Stew of Regeneration in slot 9. I can press slot 9. Handy. If I am in survival, as I most often am, and I want to move items around, I press 9 and it'll move these items, meaning if you have a whole bunch of blocks in your inventory, you can move them around really quickly and you can do really silly things, which is really, really great. There are also now unique ambient sounds that play underwater. But also, speaking of things you'll experience right now, there's been some updates to UIs. The brightness option for vibrant visuals is now gamma and properly reflects the level of gamma. Fun fact, it goes down to a minimum of 50%, and you don't ever want to go that low. Or this is a big improvement, especially any console players will appreciate. Also, we have the revamp to the game menu, the pause screen, big buttons, resume game, browse add-ons, and save and quit. And then there's these small little buttons right here. This is a really cool change, if you ask me. As you can see, this is what it looked like in the preview. Here is what it looks like right now. I like this new menu, but it's insane to put settings as a tiny button. And I think achievements too, and then have browse add-ons as a giant one. Make browse add-ons a tiny button, or make settings a giant button, or ideally both. I think that this is just one of those tiny things where, like, enough people agree that, like, it's not too bad. But it's like, yeah, I think monetization is a great choice. Every little update has to make it a little bit more clear, and that cheapens Minecraft as a brand, I think. We also have, there are more screens that use Or UI. These are slowly rolling out to all players, so if you go to accessibility, like we just did, you'll see the screen looks like that. If we go to general, it looks like this, and if we go to language, which is one of those settings you never even remember is one that exists, but if you scroll all the way down to language, where is language? But if you find language settings, they should look like that too, which is very, very useful if you ask me. But yeah, your general settings will also be the same, and so isn't that kind of nice? We have all these changes that are slowly moving from the old UI to the new UI, and isn't that great? If it isn't great, then good news, after 1.21.120, the Mats of Mayhem drop will be coming out. This is expected to be, well, it's not expected, Mojang have said it will be in December, and so barring a tragedy, this update with your zombie horse, your spears, and your nautiluses should be with us by the end of the year, and we're not expecting another bug fix before that one comes out, and so just keep in mind, Mounts of Mayhem might just be releasing pretty soon, and wouldn't that be mayhem-tastic? With that said, I hope you all enjoyed this video. For a brief recap, lots of new creative items, lots of couple drop fixes, vibrant visual changes, accessibility changes, and a pause menu that is a huge upgrade and has a browse add-ons button right in the middle of it. I guess the old one did too though, so I won't even blame that on this. This makes this a great update, and in general the bug fixes for Minecraft Bedrock are getting to be very good for not doing anything actively horrible, which it's something I really am actually a big fan of, and I'm excited to play around with this update. Hopefully all of you are too, but for now, I hope you all enjoyed this video, because I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye. Hope I was recording. I haven't even tested my mic. Might be doing the pop-in sound again.